Welcome to Dental Wife Life. Whether you're married to a dental student or a dentist, navigating the unique challenges of a dental family can feel lonely. You're not alone, and this podcast is a space created just for you. Here we share real stories, honest conversations, and practical tools to help you navigate everything from dental school stress to practice ownership, family transitions, and finding your own identity along the way. We are here to validate your sacrifices, challenge outdated roles, strengthen marriages and practices, and build a community of women who support each other. We'll get out of survival mode and learn to thrive together.
Hi guys, it's just Whitney here today. Brittany's family has been slammed with sickness, so she's practicing what we preach every day, and that is family first. She's taking care of her sick kids, taking care of her family, and so you get to hear from me today. We'll have to do this topic again because I would love to hear her thoughts on it, but I love this topic, so I decided just to take a stab at it myself. Today, we're going to be talking about office culture. This is something that was really important to me even before buying the practice. I've shared in previous podcasts that my husband and I dated in high school, and it was always the plan, at least for me, that we would own a dental office in the future. And even when he was in dental school and we would dream of this future life that we're living now, which is just so crazy, he would think about the business and like scaling that business and what that would look like. And would he have multiple locations? Would he have doctors that work for him? How big would his team would be? Where when I thought about our office, I thought about the team and the environment. And I think because I had worked at offices before where the office might have been really successful and generating a lot of production and seeing a lot of patients, seeing a lot of new patients, had a good reputation in the community, but it still wasn't enjoyable to work at. And so that was my goal is, can we merge these two goals? Can we have a productive and successful business while having somewhere that is enjoyable to work at? And when we bought the practice, that's one of the first things that I wanted to switch around was the current office culture did not match my dream for the office. There was a lot of toxicity, a lot of confusion around who did what, which then leads to a lot of keeping score and not a lot of appreciation or teamwork. And that just, I don't know, that's just a really hard environment to work in. So I didn't know how to tackle this. I really didn't. And so I just thought that if I could come in and be happy and cheerful and friendly and just try to be friends with everyone, try to get to the root of the problem, start solving these issues, putting out the fires, that eventually I would see an improvement in the office culture. And I can say that after at least 2 years, I still did not see a lot of improvement. There was a little bit of improvement, but still just not where I wanted it to be. In fact, I had one team member come to me, which we were going back to this office culture. We had some issues come up with a group of employees and trying to resolve that. And it wasn't resolving easily. It just was there were still things coming up. And the team member asked if she could meet with me. And I will forever be grateful for what she said to me, because honestly, first of all, it was really brave, but so helpful to see how my actions were affecting the office culture negatively. So when I would come into the office, I didn't work full time in the office. I had about a few hours every day that I was in the office at this time. And when I came in, it seemed like I would do some like more admin, insurance, like book work and the logistical things. I would do that at home. And when I came in the office, it seems like I was putting out fires. Like I just walked through the door and it was like, I need to talk to you. So-and-so did this. And a lot of tattling. I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but it just seems like people were lining out my door to tell me about these issues or texting me even before I got into the office about about issues they were having with teammates. And it seems like as soon as I walked through the door, I was trying to address those. So I'm like, all right, I need to talk to you. 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 And something that she told me is she said that when I came into the office, it felt like I was just focusing on the negative, and that those are the things that I was like talking about with individuals. And the specifics she gave, she's like, you never tell me how great I do. You never tell me like patients love me and appreciate me and how hopeful I am and like all these things, which are all true. She's a rock star and super awesome. She's like, just seems like you've honed in on this one thing. And I realized that that was so true. That it was 100% true. I think when anybody gives you feedback, it can be hard to not get defensive. And as she started telling me this stuff, my initial reaction was like, no, I am not negative. I am like the most positive person. I am so happy and cheerful and grateful. Like these are ways that I would describe myself. I would never describe myself as negative. But then like I was like, okay, wait, no, listen, this isn't coming out of nowhere. And so I'm like, no, there's got to be some truth to this. She's not just making this up because she's awesome and I really value her opinion. And so I'm like, if this is how I'm coming off to her, I'm probably coming off this way to other people as well. And I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? It's so true. My interactions with the team, because I'm only here for a couple of hours, it seems like I'm having more of these like disciplinary conversations. And so, yes, that is going to be how the team sees me is I'm focusing on the negative. I'm not just like, hey, I'm here to celebrate everything you did this week and this is crazy. I'm like, hey, I'm here because so-and-so said you did this and they're mad at you. And that was such an eye-opener for me and how we were going to handle conflict in the office. And it really changed our kind of like model for handling conflict, which is one of the most helpful things when it came to improving our office culture. The other thing was I had never ever spoken out loud about the office culture. I had never said anything specifically to the team that I had issues with the office culture. And so I actually hired a coach. Her name's Sydney. She's awesome. I will have to put her contact information. After hiring her, having a conversation of like where we were at, where I wanted to be, one thing she brought up, she's like, what have you discussed with the team? And I was like, well, nothing. I've never said anything. And she's like, well, if you're feeling this way, the team's feeling this way. You're not the only one getting these vibes. And so talk to them about it, find out what their feelings are about the office culture. What do they envision for the office? And just put it on their radar. Let them know that this is something you want to fix. That is what really moved the needle because now I wasn't working on it on my own. We were working together as a team. So we had a team meeting, which if you're not holding monthly team meetings, that's something to implement right away. And it's super helpful because we have a meeting on the books right now where the first Tuesday in the morning every month. And I just know it's there and it's a standing meeting and we focus on different things, but it's really great to have this meeting already on the books because in a dental office, if you're like, oh, we need to hold a meeting, you have to schedule it out 6 months in advance, right? And these are scheduled 6 months in advance. And that's what helps us stay consistent. So we have this meeting. I sit down and I talk to him about the office culture, like full transparency. Here's what I don't like. Here's when I walk into the office. Here's what stresses me out. Here's the vibe that I get from the office. I can't be the only one feeling this. I know you guys are feeling it. And we had a really great conversation as a team, hearing about just everybody's experiences across the board. And then something else that Sydney had encouraged us to do is we had a mission statement and values and whatnot, but it was just like what the previous owners had written. It was in the office manual that we just adopted. And we're like, yeah, here's our mission statement. I had no clue what it was. And so as a team, we're like, we're going to rewrite our mission statement and our values. And these aren't just like how we're going to treat patients, but this is like, how are we going to treat each other? What does our team look like? What does this look like? It holds a light to everything that you do. So if there's any kind of conflict in the office that comes up, it's so easy to be like, okay, does this match? Does this meet our criteria for our values? Did we uphold our values in this interaction? And it just makes it so easy to identify where the problems are and for others to take accountability, which is one of our values, actually. I sent out like a Google survey and had various questions like, what is important to you? What do you picture for the team? What do you think is important when it's interacting with patients and all these things? And the team filled it out and we put it all together, threw it in ChatGPT, got some ideas, tweaked it as an office, and we came up with our mission statement, our vision statement, our values, and now they're posted on our wall, blown up big. And it's something that we talk about in all of our team meetings. We'll pick one of our values and apply it. Like, how does this look in the office when we apply these values and run through scenarios? And that's been really helpful. And so if you don't have a mission statement, a vision statement, and values for your team, that is a really good place to start as well. Communicating with your team that this is something that you want to address, find out their thoughts, find out what they think is going right and things that they think could improve, because there might be things that maybe aren't on your radar or things that aren't as important to you. I'll give the example. So birthdays, anniversaries, just in general, holidays, I love those things, but I'm not like a really go overboard type person. If you forget that it's my birthday, I don't care. If my husband forgot it was my birthday, I would care. But as a friend, if I went into the office and nobody in the office knew it was my birthday, it would not hurt my feelings at all. So you don't know it's my birthday. And if you're a friend and you forget to text me on my birthday, I am not going to give two thoughts about it. Holidays, I am just minimalist and I just don't really, it just takes a lot of energy to go all overboard and stuff for it. And so I am just minimalist when it comes to some of these things. And that is a reflection in the office. It's somebody's like anniversary and they're like, hey, it's my like 4-year anniversary. I'm like, oh, awesome. I had no clue. Happy anniversary. If I looked at the calendar, I would see it, but it wasn't on my radar. That's awesome. So glad you've been here. And that was the extent. And I went to a seminar actually with Sydney, a little plug, another shout out to Sydney. And one of her speakers talked about how it was her 1-year anniversary and she had never worked anywhere for a whole year. And she showed up and nobody knew. Nobody said anything. And she like talked to her boss and she was like, it's my 1-year anniversary. And she was like, oh my gosh, so cool. Here's a stack of papers I need you to handle. And she was like, I realized that this office, like our values were not aligned. And she said that and I was like, oh my gosh, how many people on my team really value that sense of accomplishment and even just like the affirmation that comes from celebrating those type of things. I was like, I'm sure there are members on my team that really value these things, but because I don't value them, I'm not focused on them. And how many people are maybe not feeling like I'm grateful for them and things like that. And so that's just an example of maybe something that's not on your radar that if it could be added to your radar could improve the office culture. So again, for 2 years trying to fix the office culture by myself. And it wasn't until I like looped in the team that we really started making some headway. If you're wondering where to start, celebrating anniversaries and birthdays and things like that's such a great place for a dentist wife to start because you need zero dental background, zero training in order to accomplish that, like to celebrate that. And so that would be like something you could pick up overnight. Get everybody's anniversaries, get everybody's birthdays, boom, that's your job. And what a big difference that makes as far as celebrating the team, celebrating the accomplishments. For me, because it is not my strength, that was brought up and I tried to take that on. And I took it on for about a year, probably maybe 2. And actually this last year, I handed it off. I handed off birthdays and I handed off anniversaries to 2 different team members that love those things. They love birthdays, they love anniversaries. And I handed it off to them because for me, I was handling so much of the like day-to-day things that then I felt like I was winging it when it came to anniversaries. I was like, oh my gosh, it's somebody's anniversary today or tomorrow or whatever, somebody's birthday, and trying to put things together. And I think people can tell when it's a last minute thing. And that's something that I wanted to do was to hand it off to someone that could really maximize the celebration just from their like natural personality. The person that does anniversaries, we set a budget for the year. This year, she decided she's doing flowers for the team. So we get flowers delivered at the office, which who doesn't like flowers delivered at the office? Like so fun, and get some like their favorite treats and snacks or favorite breakfast. We fill out like a favorite things paper every year so that we have a list of things for when it's their birthday and what's their favorite store, favorite restaurant, favorite food, all of those things. And then for birthdays in previous years, I've done like really fancy cakes. The previous dentist wife, she could make cakes and she made big, beautiful cakes. If I made a cake, my team would be so sad. Not a good baker, not a pretty cake either. It would not taste good and it would not be pretty. I have somebody in the community. She made just like the most beautiful, yummiest cakes ever. So we did that for a couple of years. We've done gift cards to favorite stores and their favorite treats. And that's what we did last year, cupcakes, gift cards, and their favorite treat. So set a budget and figure out what you want to do for birthdays and anniversaries. And going to that, like finding your lane. You're going to find your lane, find your strengths, find your weaknesses, and delegate if you need to. If you are an awesome baker, bake a cake. That's so fun. And so just that is like a labor of love for sure. And so awesome. If you're not good, hire it out. One thing that I learned is that culture does not improve by accident, but it improves when we own it as a team. Not just when one person owns it. When I really saw improvement is when we owned it together as a team. It just was so much more impactful. So another thing that I notice is that as the dentist wife, but then also just as a couple, that we set the tone. My husband and I set the tone of the office and we're being watched. And so we've talked about this in previous episodes, but conflict in your marriage cannot carry over to conflict in the office. And so how you talk to your husband, how you talk with the team, how you handle stress yourself, all of these things matter. And for me, taking care of myself is really important. And advocating for myself outside of the office. And one thing that I noticed this year that I have been trying to work on is advocating for myself before I reach a level 10. I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm like a chill person. I feel like I can handle a lot of stress. And so I'm like chill in that way, but I'm probably always pretty high strung. So let's say I like function pretty good at a level 7 of a stress. I'm not good at asking for help until I'm at a 10. And then I'm like really good at asking for help, but not kindly. Then I'm like, why is no one helping me? Mostly directed at like my husband, right? I would never go into the office at a 10, but I might come home at a level 10. Why am I not advocating for myself at a 7 when I can see a potential for a level 10? So this might look like, yes, can I take my 5 kids to Walmart with me? Absolutely. I absolutely can handle that. Am I going to show up as the best mother when I take my 5 kids to Walmart by myself? No, I'm not. And my husband might be like, hey, I'll take some of the kids. We're running errands. I'll take some of the kids here. You take some of the kids there. And I'm like, no, I got it. I'm going to take them all to Walmart by myself. This is not hypothetical. This is a real situation. And I come out of Walmart and I'm angry and I'm overstimulated and I'm frustrated and I'm yelling at the kids in the car and I'm mad at my husband. And I'm like, why did I not advocate for myself before I got to this level? And so that's something that I'm really working on, is the amount of stress that you bring into work is then going to affect everyone else. And advocating for myself. And when I say advocating for myself, I am not saying advocating for myself from other people. While that is a part of it, like delegating and asking for help. But honestly, what I'm talking about is advocating for myself to myself. Like usually it's me that I'm like, oh yeah, I can like not eat and I could get crappy sleep and I'm going to overschedule myself and I'm going to say yes to everything. And those are all me problems. Those are all things that I'm doing to myself. And so advocating for myself to myself means that I am going to say no to things. I'm going to prioritize self-care. I'm going to make time to go get my nails done. I love getting my nails done. And it can be really easy to be like, oh no, like I don't have time for that. I'm going to cancel my appointment and I need to work or whatever, but really prioritizing those things that bring me happiness. And then also making sure that I'm getting enough sleep, making sure I'm getting my meals, that I'm not skipping meals because I'm busy or stressed or anything like that. And I find that goes a really long ways when it comes to handling my stress, which then trickles into my work stress. For my husband, he has really great stress management in the form of like his hobbies. He has 50 hobbies. And that has been like, it's just a really important thing to him when it comes to managing his stress. And he is not the type of dentist that is going to bite your head off, who's going to get frustrated. The team actually can't even tell that he's frustrated because he's just even all the time, just handles his stress. So it's not like he's like bubbly and excited all the time or anything like that, but he's just going to be very even and he's not going to get stressed out. And even in a stressful situation or a procedure is not going great, the team's not going to know because he would never bite their heads off or anything like that. And the team has even mentioned that they're like, that it's hard to tell when he's stressed because he just seems to handle it well. And I think a big thing is because of what he's doing outside of the office in order to be able to handle that stress at the office. So again, setting the tone of the office. If we're going to run around and we're going to be stressed and we're going to be overwhelmed and all of those things, then our team is going to feel that, and that can affect the office culture. And then also the way that we talk to each other, meaning like how me and my husband talk to each other, and also gossiping, complaining if we seem disconnected, any of those things, the team is going to see it and they're going to mirror it. And so another way to fix office culture is to be careful with what you're modeling. Make sure that you are showing up with the type of culture that you're hoping the team also will show up with. Another thing is eliminating gossip by creating safe communication. And this is the big one. This is the one that really made a difference for us over the course of a few months when we really were focused on office culture. Most bad culture comes from like unresolved tension and poor communication. And so one of the things that we've been practicing is that we're going to the person that we have a problem with, not around them. That cut out that line that I talked about out my door of people wanting to talk to me about people, that eliminated it almost immediately. Because how many things can get resolved just by being like, hey, I get you were stressed out, but you were snippety at me earlier, and I'm so sorry that it was so stressful, but that hurt my feelings, or whatever that looks like. And addressing issues quickly. So we're not going to let things fester, because if something comes up and you just let it be a chip on your shoulder, that is just going to grow until what happens, we freak out, right? But if we can address something small while it's small, it's so much easier to address. And so as a team, that's something that we all agreed on, that trying to address things quickly in the moment. Now, in the moment, what does that mean? Because sometimes in the moment really is not the right way, especially like we're working with patients. Do you really want to correct somebody like in front of a patient just because you need to do it in the moment? So for us, our rule is in the moment means within 24 hours. In the beginning, we started at within 48 hours because that was a big stretching point for us. And we have moved it to within 24 hours. And so that is something that we hold each other accountable to. If somebody in the team comes to me and says, this happened last week and I'm upset about it, we are going to talk about, why have you let this fester and kind of be a chip on your shoulder for a week? How has that affected the way that you've shown up in the office? And taking accountability for that has been a really positive impact on our team. And then the other thing that we focus on is assuming positive intent, basically giving everyone the benefit of the doubt. One of the ways that I talk to my team about this is I expect my team to be friends in the office. And I feel really strongly about this. I don't care if you're friends outside the office. I don't care if you actually don't really like somebody at work, but in the office, we are friends. And the reason why for me is if you're working with a friend and a friend bites your head off or something, I'm going to look at it and be like, oh my gosh, she's so stressed out. That's not her. That's not really her personality. She's so stressed out. And I'm going to see that as like a symptom. It's a symptom of her stress and not a personality defect. Oh my gosh, she's so crazy. It's, oh my gosh, she's so stressed out. I feel so bad. And I'm like, I am so sorry. That was so crazy. Here, let me help you. You haven't even had a chance to like go get a snack. You're probably starving. You had to work late through lunch or whatever. And I feel like it just helps us give each other grace because we know our friends, we love our friends, and we care about our friends. And so when something comes up and they don't show up as their best selves, we give our friends so much more grace than we would somebody that we didn't like. So that is my rule. I'm like, we are friends and you will care about each other and care about each other's mental health and how things are going. And that has made a big difference in how we talk about conflict in our office as well. So when somebody does come to me and they have issues, we talk about those things like, first of all, how are you going to discuss this with that person? I'm happy to bounce ideas with you. I'm happy to facilitate a conversation if you're having a hard time facilitating it. But no longer am I going to be like, okay, how am I going to bring this up without that person knowing that person told me? I'm going to be like, hey, so-and-so would like to have a conversation. We need to talk. what do you have to say? And I have done that to team members, and they have now learned that I am dead serious when I say we are not going around this person. We're going to talk to them directly and then addressing the issues quickly. If a team, like I said before, like if a team member comes to me and they're like, this has been bugging me for a whole week or a whole month or 6 months, we're like, what? This goes against our values. The way that you let this fester, like you need to take ownership. Like this thing happened, instead of addressing it, you've let it affect your office culture for how long? And that means that person has work to do in order to fix that. And then giving each other grace. And when something comes up, I'm like, okay, but is there something we need to address with that person? Is there a chance that maybe you're blowing this out of proportion because of something else? And so just having that self-reflection of, I think it's important to never downplay some of these experiences. And I hope that doesn't come off that way, but just looking at it ourselves. And that's another reason why I say that we can give it 24 hours, because how many times is something a big deal because I'm hungry or I'm tired or I'm hot or I'm cold, and that maybe it's not that big of a deal. And so I think it's okay to sit on things for a little bit to decide, is this something that I really need to address? Or is this something that I need, like, am I making a big mountain over a little molehill? And this is just something I need to get over. The other thing is recognition, I feel like, is a big deal. And one of the things that I wanted to do is build this vibe or attitude of gratitude. I wanted to have a grateful environment within the team. And so we did shout outs. So we have sticky notes to have the shout out wall, and the team can write down just, hey, thanks for helping me bring this patient back. And it took us a few months to implement it. What I did in the beginning was I would take all the shout outs down at the end of the month before our next team meeting, and I would draw people, and I had a prize box that we would pass around, and they could draw out of it. So if it was like, shout out to Sarah for helping me flip the room, Sarah got to pick out of the prize box. But what I found is that some people were really good at writing shout outs, but they didn't necessarily get shout outs. And it's not because they're not helping. It's not because they're not all over the place, but just sometimes, like, maybe what we're doing is behind the scenes, or maybe we don't have time to write notes. And so maybe you're not acknowledging that person, even though they've been helping you all day long. And so I changed it, and we actually are acknowledging the people who wrote the notes to encourage people to write the notes. Because again, it's not about receiving gratitude, even though that's great. We all love that feeling of affirmations and feeling like people value you and feeling like people are recognizing your efforts on the team. And we love that feeling that we get when people acknowledge our contributions and our hard work. But it was more about recognizing other people's hard work and communicating that to the team and trying to foster that environment of gratitude. And the first month that I switched, I gave them a heads up. I was like, hey, just so you know, when I draw it, I'm giving the prize to the person who wrote the sticky notes, not who's getting the shout out. And I had team members who took it seriously and team members who still didn't take it seriously. I gave a challenge that month that I wanted everyone to write at least one sticky note a day. And I had team members who did not participate in the challenge, and I had team members who did. I had team members who wrote more than one sticky note. And so I think there was probably 3 or 4 of them that really contributed. Without warning the team or anything, I gave the top 3 people $100 each. And just gave them cash right there. I was like, thank you so much for taking this seriously and like really going over and beyond. And from then on, everyone has participated in it. It's been months. I have not given out cash for it since. I am talking like probably 8 months since I did that. But I feel like that just really helps people shift to be like, oh, that's what she was talking about. So I also think that's something that could help as you are trying to implement some of these things. Really acknowledge the people who are helping you reach your goal in that way. I feel like I could do a part 2 for this. I feel like I could talk forever. I'm going to come back and do a part 2 about, maybe we can talk about how do we address these problems early. And then I also would like to talk about building systems and how it can help improve the office culture as well. So stay tuned for part 2.
Thank you for spending this time with us on Dental Wife Life. If today's episode encouraged you, challenged you, or made you feel a little less alone, share it with another dental wife who needs it. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and connect with us on social media so that we can keep the conversation going. You can find us on Instagram @TheDentalWifeLife. Remember, your role matters, your voice matters, and you don't have to navigate this journey alone. We'll see you next time.